Hello and welcome to the Insurance Times website. My name is Scott McGee and I am very happy to be joined by James Dalton, who is the Head of General Insurance Policy at the Association of British Insurers. Thanks for joining me, James.
Great to be with you, Scott.
So, fresh from the motor conference, how do you feel it went? How do you feel the conference went as a whole on that day?
It was a great event. It brought together a whole range of stakeholders from government across the insurance industry, obviously, but the wider motor supply chain, claimant lawyers. There was an exciting, dynamic, up-to-date agenda. Had a buzz, and I think everyone seemed to enjoy it. The feedback's been really positive, and I think it was a really successful event.
Were there any emerging themes that you've not come across before, or was everything just an update on how things are going altogether?
Well, I think it's fair to say we're in a dynamic and changing market, and the conference was quite a good opportunity for us to take stock of the significant amount of change that has occurred, is occurring, and will continue to occur across the motor market. There's lots of ongoing regulatory change, not least the Civil Liability Bill, FCA market study. So there's a regulatory dimension to this, but there's also changing needs and demands of consumers that traditional insurance companies need to lean into the challenge of responding to. And I think conferences like the one we hosted are quite a good opportunity for people to come out of their business and their day-to-day and think a bit long-term.
Now, you wrote an article for us just before the motor conference saying that the motor insurance industry had to change its reputation. How do you feel the conference helped in the first stages of doing that?
So I think the first point is to recognise the scale and nature of the problem. I think most in the industry would say that motor insurance is a grudge purchase. No one loves buying car insurance, but it's a compulsory insurance purchase. And our challenge in that context is to provide the right product, make the distribution and sales process as consumer friendly as possible, and ensure that people get value for money, which is a key reason why we've been campaigning around the Civil Liability Bill, for example, because there are so many unnecessary costs that go into the price of car insurance, and the Civil Liability Bill is an important mechanism to strip out some of those costs. And as you know, we've made it very clear that as an industry we'll pass on those cost benefits to consumers in time.
Are you sympathetic to the concerns that some claimant lawyers have for possibly claimants not being able to get access to the quality of help and access to justice as they may have done before these whiplash reforms?
I think time will tell. We have a lot of work to do with the Ministry of Justice, and the MIB has a lot of work to do with the Ministry of Justice to build the IT platform that will underpin these reforms. There remain a lot of policy decisions that need to be taken by ministers around how that system is going to work in practice. But we are all working towards an end goal of ensuring that people can access justice and make a whiplash-related claim in a straightforward and as easy way as possible.
As we know, the Civil Liability Bill was going through its last stages in the House of Lords on the same day as the conference. Were you happy with the result?
Yeah, I mean, the legislation delivers a fairer framework for setting the discount rate, and that framework is fairer for compensators. It's fairer for claimants, and ultimately it's fairer for consumers of insurance products and our customers. So the framework for setting a discount rate is a good outcome, and we're also obviously very pleased with the reforms to the whiplash claims process. And obviously, looking forward into 2019, we've got a lot of work to continue to work with the government on getting those reforms a reality by April 2020.
So, moving forward into 2019, what are the big priorities for the ABI and the motor insurance industry as a whole going into next year?
Making the Civil Liability Bill a reality is obviously a really important priority, and we expect to start work on that really soon as the Government Actuaries Department starts consulting on the way that they will be taking the discount rate setting process forward. Reputation remains a challenge, and it remains an area of focus both across the ABI but in the GI market specifically. So we'll continue to work on issues that will hopefully have a positive impact on the industry's reputation. And we've seen the success that initiatives this year, for example, like the guiding principles and action points on renewal pricing, we've seen the impact that those initiatives can have. And so as an industry, our challenge is to continue to make sure that we're leaning into that challenge and that we're not resting on our laurels. So reputation, making the Civil Liability Bill a reality, both high on the list of priorities, but also thinking about the markets of the future and what does the insurance market of the future look like? What does the motor insurance market of the future look like? And how are we as an industry adapting and changing in a dynamic market and in a broad dynamic setting to respond to some of those challenges and opportunities? Autonomous vehicles, changing regulation are all opportunities and threats, and we need to make sure that we're all over the top of that.
Okay. Big thank you to you, James, and thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will have more soon. Thank you very much.